Definitely not money. Definitely not reputation. Perhaps, I mean, yeah, or fame. Um, Perhaps network can't help, but what you really want to do in this world, in the 21st century, in our decade, is skills. You want to be learning skills. The more skills you have, and I mean true skills, I don't mean trying something out for a year and then going on to something else for another. I mean getting real skill at something, right? Whether it's in computers, whether it's in the arts, in any field. Real skill. And then if you can develop 2 or 3 skills by the time you're in your 20s and still have some fun, the world is going to open up to you, because what you're going to be able to do when you turn 30 is you're going to go, I can take that skill that I learned in computers. I can take that skill I learned in media and in creating a podcast or whatever, and I can create a business that's going to combine the two in a way that no one has ever thought of, because I'm a unique person. The world will open up to you. Skills are the gold of the 21st century. And if you're seduced by money, if you think about money, you're doomed, because that's not what matters in life. Because let's say you have 2 job offers. One is at Goldman Sachs, opening position for $150,000 a year, and one is at some startup for $30,000 a year, and you're living in New York and you're going to be starving. You're going to be sharing a miserable little flat somewhere in Bushwick, whatever, okay? Take the $30,000 a year job, because you're going to learn so much. You're going to be hands-on. Whereas in that other job, you're going to be lost in there. You're going to be among hundreds of other young people, and you're not going to have responsibilities. Here you're going to have responsibilities. So money is not what matters to you. Because when you're in your 20s, you can starve. You can live on less food. You can have it a little tough because you're young. I know myself. I was very poor. I lived in London. I had a job in London in 1984, I believe. 84. And I was making, I think it was £30 a week, maybe it's less than that, was my starting salary. And my girlfriend at the time, the only thing we could eat was turnips and cauliflower. Cauliflower cheese was our main dish. But I was 25, I can handle it. So you can handle not making money and learning, because that's what's most important.
I don't think many young people in that first season of life realize how long life is. So, we try and take shortcuts. We try and get to the money as fast as we can. But you're telling me to take a longer road, which is the acquisition of skills, even at the cost of some of those short-term rewards that are very tempting to post on my Instagram.
Yeah. Well, I mean, also, you look at somebody like Steve Jobs. I can relate to that because he wasn't interested in money at all. It was never the motivating factor. It's never been my motivating factor, right? I wanted to have fun, and I wanted to be successful, and I wanted to be able to write. He wanted to design the most beautiful pieces of technology in the world. It ended up he was like the richest man in the world at the time, but he never cared about money. It wasn't what motivated him. I never cared about money, and now I'm not as rich as Steve Jobs, but I'm doing fairly well. Because it'll come to you. If you play the game right, if you learn the skills when you're young, and then you develop your own business, by the time you're 35, you'll be making 4 times what you would have made at that Goldman Sachs job, right? Mm-hmm. That's how the game is played these days. Starting your own business, being an entrepreneur. Being an entrepreneur is the most powerful position you can aim for. Some people are destined for that. That's not in their DNA. But to me, that's what we should all be aiming for, to be your own boss. Because personally, I hated working for other people. But being an entrepreneur, starting your own business, one that has a niche in this world, you're going to make all the money that you'll ever need.
It's quite painful being an entrepreneur, though. I think it was actually Elon that said, building his businesses is like chewing glass and staring into the abyss. And I can relate to some degree of the businesses that I've built over the years, and just the immense hardship and uncertainty. And, I guess there's at times a subtle envy for your team members who are unaware of the chaos that one has to endure to make sure everybody's paid on time and, make sure everyone's happy.
Okay, but the lesson for me in all of that is altering your sense of what pleasure and happiness is. So in the moment, it's painful, right? and we don't like pain. Nobody likes pain. I don't like pain, right? But if your sense of what pleasure is and happiness is only like here, from the present moment to here, it's going to be very hard to get out of that. But if your sense of pleasure and happiness is here,
Long term.
yeah, then you've got power, you've got maneuverability, you have room to maneuver, and that's the key to the whole thing. So
Okay, so you're saying that if I have a short-term view on happiness, I expect it today, now, and every day,
yeah,
then my life's not going to be great. But if I expect happiness to be a long-term,
yeah. So I mean, look at you now. Is what I'm trying to say. You're pretty happy, I imagine.
Yeah, I am.
You're pretty fulfilled, right?
Yeah.
And you wouldn't have gotten there if, when you were 24, whatever, you just gave up because it was so painful. I better just go grab that easy job working for a bank or something. You'd be miserable now. Whereas look at you now. That's what I'm trying to open people's minds to. Follow Stephen Bartlett here. That's the model.
One of the things that I think helped me get here is my dark side. You talk about dark sides a lot. And when I say my dark side, I mean the insecurity, the shame, the wanting to fit in, all of those kinds of things that acted as a driving force. And a lot of people have a dark side. I've heard you talk about how all great achievers have a bit of a dark side in them. How do we channel our dark side so that it's productive and not destructive? I was talking to someone the other day who is a very successful entrepreneur, and they have their own story of like shame and embarrassment and trying to run away from a certain life they used to have.
Right.
And that made them successful. But now they work 18 hours a day. They're just like almost addicted to their work.
Right.
So I wonder if it can go too
I
far.
see. Yeah,
But they say they're happy.
they do.
Yeah, they
And
say
do you-
they're really happy.
And do you believe it?
It's hard to distinguish true happiness from the contentment that you get when you are successfully escaping your dark side. Do you know what I mean by that? Because this individual has successfully ran away from their darkness, and they appear to be in a state of contentment
Yeah.
because they're succeeding in their pursuit of running away from their past. But I don't know if that's happiness. Some yogi might tell me that happiness is when you stop running.
Well, I worked for somebody. I was on the board of directors for this company, American Apparel, which no longer exists. And the CEO, Dov Charney, was the founder of the company, an incredible entrepreneur who, from